Hey there everyone, Jeff here. Welcome back to Imagination Tech. So there are a lot of risks involved in flying FPV, and one of them is actually losing your quad. Now it doesn't matter if you're flying over a wide grassy field or if you live in a more mountainous terrain like where I do, where there's a lot more ridges, terrain and vegetation. There is a very real risk of actually losing your quad, and I've actually lost around 2 or 3 quads, and 2 of them in a 50-meter radius. And for the past 2 years, no one has ever been able to find my quads. So today I am going to show you 6 tips on how you can locate and recover your quad to make sure that it always comes back to you. Stay tuned. First up on our list is a buzzer that you can install on your quad. And this can be very useful even if you're flying short range, as your quad can easily get lost in tall grass, covered in mud or leaves, and you can be walking right over it and not be able to see it, which has happened to me a couple of times. Now with a buzzer, you can not only use your sense of sight for searching for your quad, but your sense of hearing as well. Not too long ago, the only buzzer that you could put on a quad looked something like this, and this was a buzzer that you would solder onto the buzz positive and buzz negative pads on your flight controller, and you could configure it, to sound on a switch, or if it got disconnected from your receiver. Now the only problem with this was if your quad lost its battery, then there would be no way to power this buzzer as well. I believe it was iFlight who invented the iFlight finder, and the key thing here is that it came with a battery. So you would solder on your red wire to your 5 volts, which is the buzz positive, and the black one would be soldered to ground. Now with the buzz negative is actually the one that goes high or low, and this yellow wire is what you would solder on to your buzz negative pin. Now there are other cheaper alternatives like this Gemku 42B_S. That's a really real mouthful. It's also small. It also goes around 105-110 decibels. This is actually what I have on my quad. So again, you could either flick a switch and it would go off, or if this got disconnected or if it lost power, then it would go on a timer and just buzz really loudly, using its built-in battery. I'm just going to plug in the battery just so I can show you how it works. So as you can see, I didn't have my receiver turned on, so that's why this thing was acting wildly. But you can see right now that it's blinking, it's counting down, and after like maybe 10 seconds, it's going to beep really loudly. So you have to press and hold this button to turn off the beeping. So I think it's like 5 seconds, right? So that's how it works. If your quad ejects its battery, then this will start on its timer and start beeping. Sometimes it's easy to get disoriented when you're flying far away from you. So wouldn't it be great if there was a way for your quad to automatically fly back to you? DJI and other intelligent camera drones already does this, and you can set something up similarly in Betaflight. Although auto landing wasn't introduced until Betaflight 4.4, and prior to that, it just gradually glided down towards you. To do this, you would need a GPS unit installed on your quad. So this is what a typical GPS unit looks like, with the antenna side facing upwards, and the label and everything is the one facing down. And this is the Betian BE220 GPS, and it already has one of the latest M10 chips, but its predecessor, the BN220 with an M8 chip, is still pretty good, and especially because both of them have onboard flash and battery backup, so it doesn't take very long for these two units to lock onto a lot of satellites. There are also other brands like the ones from TBS and from Maytech, but those are a little bit more expensive, and I really don't see any benefit if you can just get something like this. This is around $10. So this is what I have on my Cinebot 30. So this is also, I also have the predecessor BN220 on my Ummagawd Remix. If you're looking for something bigger with a compass, then you would be looking at something like this. This is the BE880, and you know, it's, as you can see, it's a lot bigger than the BE220, and this one has a compass built in, so that's why it's also thicker. It's like 2 boards thick, and you need a compass if you're going to be running it with iNav or something like that. But you know, for most FPV quads, the BE220 would be my recommended you know, size, because of its, you know, balance between performance and its compact size. And it also only uses four wires, whereas the BE880 uses 6 wires, and the 2 additional wires being for the compass. I have a video on how to set up GPS rescue in Betaflight down in the description below, so do check that out. So now your quad knows how to get back automatically. That should be it, right? Well, there's still plenty of things that can go wrong. GPS rescue might not work for any number of reasons. Like, for example, if you're flying within a minimum distance to home, which is set to 100 meters by default, a faulty GPS or wiring causing sanity checks to fail, your quad might hit a tree or a bird or something on its way back, you might not have enough battery to get back home, or any number of things that could go wrong. Well, this tip is really simple if you've already set up GPS rescue. All you need to do is add GPS latitude and longitude to your OSD. That way you can see the last known position of your drone in your goggles. Just make sure you're also recording DVR, so that along with replaying the flight video, you can also look back at the GPS position. And if you don't want your GPS coordinates and other information cluttering up your OSD, you can change your OSD on a switch, and I also have a guide on that linked down in the description below. Now we have a failsafe to our failsafe. What else could go wrong, right? Well, the video feed for one thing. In the times I have lost my quads, it was aggravated by the loss of video. If you're not getting any signal from your VTX, or if you're getting poor signal snowing out your video, then you can't see your OSD and you can't see your GPS coordinates. And therefore you can't see where your quad is flying or crashing. But there's one more way of getting your GPS coordinates other than your OSD, and that is by getting your coordinates in your radio. So now let's set up telemetry logging on our Taranis QX7, but the process would be the same regardless if you have an X90 or QX7S or whatever Taranis radio you have, as long as it has OpenTX. So first we open up our model and go through the settings, and we are just going to go to the telemetry page. And if you don't have your quad connected yet, then I suggest you plug in a battery like I will be doing right now. So once it's plugged in, you should see some telemetry data by scrolling down. Now, if you don't have any telemetry data, you just need to set that up in Betaflight. So I'm using Crossfire, so it's very easy. As long as you have your Crossfire RX1 and RX2, or channel 1 and channel 2 connected to your UART, and you have telemetry enabled in Betaflight, then you should already have telemetry. So right now I don't have any GPS telemetry data coming in here, and that's because when I set this up initially, I did not have a GPS module installed yet. So if you don't have the GPS item here in the telemetry page, just click on Discover New Sensors. So you should see these items, GPS speed, heading, altitude, sets, etc. But since I'm indoors, I'm not getting any satellites. But as long as you have this, you should be good to go. Next, we go to the Display tab and change Screen 1 from None to Nums. Afterwards, scroll through each item and put some of our new sensors in. You can customize this however you want, but I like to put the number of sats, voltage, heading, Crossfire RF mode, and of course the GPS coordinates. So from the main screen, you can just hold the page button and you can see your chosen telemetry data displayed. As an added tip, we're also going to set our radio to log this data on the SD card. Now we need to go to the special functions page. And here I already have a couple of functions already set up, and we are just going to create a new one. So you can choose a switch to use for turning on telemetry logging, or you can just choose other and then just select on. And we are just going to choose here, we're just going to look for SD logs. Okay, and here we just set the interval, which is 1 second to 2 seconds is what they recommend. So this means that every second you are going to be recording your GPS log data onto your SD card, and that's it. So as long as it's turned on, it's going to start start recording, or you can even just set this to your arm button. So as long as you're armed, then it starts logging. Now pop in your radio's SD card into your computer, and under the logs folder you will find a CSV file for each model. You can open it in Notepad or Excel. Each row is recorded per second or whatever interval you set previously, and you will also find a GPS column containing both latitude and longitude. If you copy this into Google Maps, it'll show you the GPS position it recorded. And if you plot the couple of rows prior as well, it'll also give you an idea of the direction your quad was going. So now you've got GPS rescue, you've got all your GPS coordinates, and you have a buzzer on your quad. You head on over to the crash site and the sun is setting and you still can't find your quad. What do you do? Well, aside from getting a search party and combing through the whole area, there's only one thing you can do at this point, which is pray that someone hopefully finds your quad and returns it back to you. But how do they know who to return it to? And that's where the good old sticker label comes in. You just write your name, write your details, and maybe offer up a reward. And you can also, use your GoPro if you're putting a GoPro in your quad. If you can use your GoPro to take a photo of your contact details, your name, and the potential reward. And this is almost like the last straw, the last chance of getting your quad. So you're just offering up a reward to just increase the chances that someone will give your quad back. Some people have secured Apple AirTags and use it to track it. So once your drone is in range of your iPhone, you'll be able to track it through your phone, as well as probably hear the buzzer already buzzing. Aside from that, other people's iPhones would be able to detect your Apple AirTag and send to your iPhone, your Apple account, the location of that Apple AirTag as well. You'll probably still need one of the previous tips to get the GPS coordinates of your crash site, especially if you crash in an isolated area where there aren't many iPhone users around. And the $30 price tag of an Apple AirTag could drive your costs a fair bit, especially if you have a large fleet, but it's still cheaper than having to lose your quad, and having an Apple AirTag on your drone will likely drive up the recovery rates a bit. Now, if you're an Android user, there is an alternative called the Tile Pro. It has the second most number of users compared to the Apple AirTag. So I'll probably link link to where you can buy these things down in the description below. So I haven't tried this tip yet, but if you do, let me know, because I would be very interested in hearing your stories. Well, that is it for this video. I hope you found these tips very useful. I hope that this saves your quad and helps you locate it. And if it does, I'd really love to hear all about it down in the comments below. So if you enjoyed this video, please make sure you click on that like button and make sure you're subscribed as well. And if it suits you, why not send me a coffee? My coffee and Patreon link are down in the description below. Alright, so I'm going to leave you with that. As always, keep building and keep flying.